Hello, I'm Joel Baird, the General Manager of Missoula Community Access Television, inviting you to another edition of What's Up Missoula. In the studio with me is Kevi Berger and Salinas Callison. They are here to talk about America's Super Pageant, which is a pageant with a cause, which you're going to find out about. So welcome, and thanks so much for coming over.
Thank you.
And being so adorned as you are. And congratulations, right? Because you have both been part of the pageant, and you have both won in your respective categories.
Mm-hmm. Yep, we have.
Salinas, you have won Montana's Super Ms. And Kevi, you have won Montana's Super Mrs.
Yes.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
So people want to know, is it just another beauty pageant?
No, not at all. This pageant was started by Janet Beer out of Hamilton after she lost her daughter, Alanya, in an accident in 2010.
Right.
And Alanya was not wearing a seatbelt and lost her life, and so this pageant was started to promote seatbelt use nationwide.
Yeah, and Jana has been on this show before, years ago when she had first started it.
Right.
And I remember her saying, you know, that she had so much grief, she wanted to put it to a good purpose and to help people prevent another tragedy as she experienced. And so this is pretty serious, right? And the message to people is, and it seems so simple, right? Like, why wouldn't they do it? To buckle up when they get in their automobile.
It should be a very simple message, I feel. It's 2 seconds, you know, that would change your life. Protect your loved ones from grief. Protect yourself from injury. It's a very important message.
Right. And, I mean, there's so many things you could say about the buckle up. They're putting up the website. That looks really good, that graphic. AmericasSuperPageant.com. And people could also Google it to learn more about the pageant and organization.
Or Facebook. It's also on Facebook. You can follow Janet on Twitter, that type of thing.
Right.
So, and it's for anybody. It's not just for pageant queens.
Nope.
Right.
You know, you don't have to be a typical pageant person. Janet's pageant, it's open to, we have preteens, we have teens, a Miss, Ms., Mrs.
Classic and Queen.
Classic and Queen. And so we always like to say it's different sizes, different shapes, different people, all coming together. It's not a stereotypical type, you have to weigh a certain amount or be a certain height or that type of thing.
Right.
It's for everyday people who enjoy coming together, working together, and really promoting a message of seatbelt safety, and especially here in Missoula, you know, in around Montana, around the holidays, so many people are traveling, they're driving. A lot of times to get even from town to town, it can be 20, 30-minute drive. In the winter, that can be an hour-long drive. And having been in 5 different crashes in my lifetime, the youngest one when I was just 2 years old and was in one of the old-fashioned car seats, and my mom put me on there and had to stop fast, and I flew forward and hit the dashboard, up to when I was pregnant with my son, rolled my car 3 times. And so it can happen just in a spur of a moment. It can happen at any time to anyone. And so our goal is to really not just to be in a pageant and say, you know, look at me, look what I can win, and you know, but it's really about promoting seatbelt safety. It's about working together, like often as we do as a team, to say, you know, this is important and this is a message that needs to get out. And if we can save one more person from having that grief that Janet has, then that's something that's very dear to our hearts.
Yeah. And a lot of people have maybe some assumptions, you know, about their driving. As you mentioned, it put me in mind of going to Great Falls for many years. In the weather conditions that can turn on a dime, you know, black ice and or whiteouts. I mean, we've got some pretty challenging travel conditions among our Montana cities. And, you know, some people, maybe they think, oh, I'm a great driver, I don't need to wear the seatbelt. But the accidents can have nothing to do necessarily with driving skill.
Right. You know, and accidents are, I mean, that's part of why I got involved with it. I haven't been in serious car wrecks, but I'm an EMT and I see them. And the instances of people that are saved because they wear their seatbelt far outweigh the people that are saved when they don't. And it's, you know, I see the grief on scene, I see the grief at the hospital, and you know, like Kevi said, if we can save one person from having to endure that, that's our hope.
It's time well spent, just one person. Because imagine, an accident is so weird, it's almost like a nuclear bomb.
Right.
I mean, in the sense that it's so small, right? It could happen in 30 seconds and then change lifetimes, just the whole lifetime from that moment on of that family, that friendship, whatever it was.
A community.
Changed forever, right?
Right.
I mean, it's pretty wild that way. The chances people seem to be willing to take too.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about that a little before we started recording. You know, I thought, having come from back east, I have like a vision of like Montanans, what do they really think? And that there's a certain fatalism in some people that say, well, when your number's up, it's up. You know, it doesn't matter whether I do this thing or not, which I think is an odd attitude towards life, physics, and probability and so on.
Well, and you can't force somebody. Montana does not have a primary seatbelt law.
Right.
I know Janet has spoken before legislature. You know, Kevi and I are both on the Missoula Seatbelt Coalition, trying to promote it, but you can't force it. And so hopefully by educating, we can at least give them food for thought to maybe change their mind.
Yeah.
Well, and too, when you're looking at data from the Montana Department of Transportation and you're looking at statistics, one thing that jumped out at me when I was writing a letter to the editor to the Missoulian was that basically 7 out of every 10 that are in a crash of the fatalities, 7 of those 10 were not wearing their seatbelts. So if you figure 10 crashes, you know, that have fatalities, 7 of those were not wearing their seatbelts, so only 3 were. So for those that also say, well, I'm not going to buckle up because, you know, it's a death trap, it holds you in,
People
it's
get
more detrimental.
claustrophobic, they feel worried to be stuck in the car.
Right, and they'll say, you know, it's more likely to kill me than not. Well, they have to look at the actual proven data and be able to look and see that really what it comes down to is you have, you know, out of these 10 crashes, 7 passed away, you know, because they were not wearing their seatbelts. And so, you know, for me, I'm always looking for what's the best odds. And my best odds are to wear my seatbelt, having been through the 5 crashes and having been wearing my seatbelt every time, except for when I was little and I flew to the dashboard. But I was seatbelted into my little chair, and my chair protected me. And so when I was young and flew into the dash, you know, I was still belted in a way. So I believe that I'm a testament because nobody can go through that many crashes and be that lucky. I do believe my seatbelt saved me. So that's pretty important to me.
Yeah, and it makes sense for people, you know, at any level of distance, like we talked about, you know, from here to Billings, right, or from here to Great Falls.
From here to the post office.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
You never
statistically,
know.
most accidents happen within 10 miles or something
Of
of a
your-
person's home because that's when they're doing the most traveling.
Right.
And
So-
if you think about it, how many people have to drive more than 10 miles if you live within town?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, we live right off Reserve Street, and it's every day that there's a crash out there.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've actually witnessed those crashes and, you know, living right on there and seeing the cars come right up against our garage and, you know, and that fence right back there. And it's just, it scares me. I'm a mother. Salinas is a mother. Janet was a mother. I can't imagine Janet's pain. And now thinking about that my kids are now, you know, 1 is left in high school, 2 are now in college. They don't live with us anymore. And I can't imagine what would happen if my kiddos
They didn't live anywhere anymore.
Right. You know, and so it's really, you get involved with the America's Super Pageant. I was a judge for 2 years, and this will be my very first live pageant that I've ever done.
Oh.
And so that in itself, yes, my buddy. So it's very exciting. I've done some online pageants and done well in them. And it really is a confidence booster as well. So we can each have our personal platforms as well as promoting seatbelt safety. And so that's the other amazing thing is that with this pageant, you don't have to have just one platform that you're sticking to, that you're promoting. Of course, we believe in seatbelt safety, and that's why we're part of this, but we also are able to promote our own personal platforms, and that helps us to spread the word with things that we may be interested on our own level.
Things that matter to us
Right.
as well.
You know, working for the Hospice Care Foundation, you know, obviously there's a lot of that we promote on a day-to-day basis that's so important to us, and working to get a hospice house for Missoula is vitally important. But I also have volunteered as a CASA, a court-appointed special advocate, because I believe that people that if women and girls, as they have a better self-esteem and a higher self-esteem, that maybe they would feel more empowered and maybe be able to get out of abusive situations sooner rather than later. And that's my personal platform, is to be the best you can be. And so that's what I enjoy too, is the flexibility that I'm not the smartest, I don't have the best body, I'm not the prettiest, I'm not the most eloquent. I'm not your typical pageant girl. I have multiple tattoos, I have multiple piercings, but I'm still accepted. And that's another amazing part of this pageant as well.
And Salinas, you have also a personal platform too.
I do. In 2008, I was diagnosed with a brain tumor, and so I had to undergo surgery, and had a stroke, and there was multiple issues with that. My brain tumor, that type, is related to trauma, and it usually takes 20 plus years to show up. And I had a very rough childhood at the hands of others, and so my platform is brain injuries and traumatic brain injuries, and whether they come from seatbelts and accidents or from the hands of others and injuries that you either caused yourself or didn't cause yourself. I have a poster made up that Janet has used that says brain injuries are not always beautiful. Most people that suffer a brain tumor and have to have surgery and a stroke, they don't come out as lucky as I did, and so I feel very grateful and very fortunate. And it has been a very long 5 years of recovery. I had occupational therapy to learn how to talk again. And there was a lot of struggles there. But again, with Kevi, I have struggles I deal with every day. And she deals with them as my friend and my boss. And Janet accepts them with the pageant. And, it's something that you can use to say, you don't have to be perfect. Life is not perfect. It is what you make it. 1 year to the day of my post-op stroke, I found out I had passed my national registry for EMT.
Oh,
so, it's been a long process, a long road, but one that you can do.
Yeah.
So
that really does show the diversity of the pageant. That you can have different personal platforms, and the pageant isn't that narrow thing that people think of, the beauty pageant, where it is skin deep and there is, kind of a rigid standard.
Part of
part of
Janet's thing is that you fill out a questionnaire, and a huge portion of the way that you're graded is your community involvement. It is not your beauty. That's important.
There's a lot of different platforms. They rate you from your personal platform. You have a 30 seconds to introduce yourself in your little black dress. You do have a photographic portion.
Your
a
community involvement.
Or athletic wear. You can get bonus points for community involvement for promoting seatbelt safety.
Yep.
A lot of, and then you have your evening gown.
Right.
And so, but the wonderful thing is explicitly on this website, it says you're not graded, and you will not be graded. Judges know that you're not graded on how much money was spent, or
not on the label,
or what your size is, or what that is. It's how well does that fit you. And the other wonderful thing is that even though it's swimsuit athletic wear, you get to choose what you're most comfortable in. And so even those who are not as comfortable with their body, I don't think I want to get out there in a swimsuit. I might push myself and become brave, but you don't have to. You can have athletic wear, and you don't have to have designer gowns, and you don't have to spend thousands of dollars in order to enter the pageant. And there's so many awards, from photogenic to evening wear to the Hope Princess
and the Pageantry Spirit Award, and
international awards, and
so it tries,
it's
even though it's
amazing.
a competition, it tries to be a little more inclusive of talent.
It's very much a rating system. However, there's such a breadth of diversity that those, if you don't go home with the international crown, you may go home with the evening gown or the Pageantry Spirit Award, or photogenic, or that type of thing. And then Janet involves those people and brings back those queens to help crown the new queens. And so it really becomes a family. You learn more about each person. You work with them. She makes it an entire weekend. And so if you're about making friends and you need to do it on a buddy system, like I said, I've never been in a pageant before. I've judged for 2 years. And so now we do things on a buddy system because we want to support each other and help each other and promote. but also just to be there when we're having a rough day. And really, it's about making friends and about promoting something that's really dear to our hearts. And that's what that pageant is about, in my belief.
Yeah.
See, like last year, because I competed 2 years ago, and Kevi, like she said, has been a judge for 2 years. And last year, Janet asked both of us to come back together and crown America's Super Hope Princess. But part of her fun weekend was that I mean, and we work in the same office, and I knew that Kevi was getting an award that Kevi didn't know about. But Kevi in turn knew that I was getting an award I didn't know about.
Right.
And so she does just fun stuff. You know, there's the princess party, and where all the girls get together and you actually get to meet each other, and you spend Saturday morning going to the farmer's market, and you meet the community, and you try and get that word out. And there's a parade that Milden Burger Motors does, and big barbecue. And so it's very, some girls I met 2 years ago, you know, I still talk to all the time. And it's just very nice. It's very nice to know that you're supported, and the judgment is not there. It's not the, oh, you didn't buy that dress, or you don't go here.
It sounds like it's more like a bonding experience where
Very
people have
much
that
so.
stereotype of beauty pageant as a catty experience.
Right. It's not
Everyone's
catty at
trying
all.
to-
And I was very impressed because as a judge we were given, you know, very specific rules and regulations, but I didn't know these girls. At the time I didn't really know Salinas. I knew her because she had volunteered one night at our hospice ball for the Hospice Care Foundation. But I really didn't know her. She was just a queen. She was coming in, helping to seat people, and that was really it. And so, and she did not compete the years that I judged, but I really didn't know any of the girls. I didn't know their history, any of that type of thing. And so I really like that community members are used to judge. However, on the flip side, they don't, you know, have any ins with anybody, or they don't, you know, they're just community members, and they believe in seatbelt safety, and they believe in the promotion of the pageant. And, you know, but afterwards you come to know these people that you've worked with and that you've seen, and you see how hard they've worked, and it's an amazing experience. And you know, that's why I'm involved. I want that experience. I want that self-confidence.
Sounds really fun.
It's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. It really is.
If people want to get involved, is the website the best way of approaching it?
It is. And you can actually, you know, like Kevi said earlier, there are age ranges for all girls. And so if there is a girl out there that wants information or has questions, she can go to the website. Kevi and I have a Facebook page. We're available for, you know, speaking engagements. But there, you know, between Janet and the you know, pages that are on Facebook, there's a lot of ways to get answers.
And Janet has Twitter, so there's Facebook, there's Twitter. You know, you can look at on our Facebook page. We have the Montana's Super Mrs. on our Facebook, so you can find us that way. But it's americassuperpageant.com. And I know that on that Facebook page, there's also additional contact information. That you can, you know, send a message right directly through on the website, and there's phone numbers there. There's the entry forms are right online, really easy to fill out. And there's even a payment system where you do not have to pay everything up front for if you are having a harder time and you want to compete in the pageant and need to make payments. You can actually
do that.
Work that out as well. So it's affordable, it's fun,
it's very
has a great
affordable
platform. And you get to take an hour off work to be with your buddy,
that's not bad.
to promote something amazing.
Well, as I promised you, I told you, I thought, well, and it's no length, because you guys want to put this on your YouTube. I mean, well, I'll put it on YouTube for you, and then you want to post it. And I know when people look at a long video, they're like, oh no, I don't have time.
Right.
But is there something you want to add before we sign off?
Well, first of all, thank you for having us.
You're most welcome, sure.
And you know, our big thing is please buckle up. Please take the time and think about it. Make a conscious choice.
And not even just you. Make sure your passengers are buckled up. You know, don't drive if people are not going to buckle up. They can always take a cab. They can take another ride. Please don't transport them if they're not going to buckle up. And just promote that with your children and anyone who's in your vehicle, or if you're in a vehicle as a passenger, please make sure that others are buckled up as well, and try to take that moment or two to educate them, to share your story, and so that maybe they can understand why it's so important to buckle up and to keep inside your car.
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
if there ever was the unfortunate incident of a crash.
All right. Well, thank you both for coming
Thank you.
over.
Thank you.
Noah. And thank you guys for watching this edition of What's Up Missoula. If you know of a group and you want to see them on this program, give me a call at MCAT. The number is 542-6228. For MCAT, I'm Joel Baird. Thanks for watching.